The one thing I regret not doing when I went through my MDMA therapy for PTSD, utilizing more somatic work. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody. My name is Jill. Welcome back to the Journey Sage. And this is the channel that I wish had been around when I was healing my PTSD with psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. And this is a video that I wish had been around because it's not that I made a mistake per se, but, and you know what happens with a but, everything I just said doesn't count. I do think I would have made progress a lot faster if I had done a lot more somatic work. And so what does somatic work mean? Somatics just mean in the body, paying attention to the body. And let me be super, super clear. I'm not a somatic expert. I'm not a somatic therapist. Don't come at me if I get something wrong. This is just my perspective and things that I would have done differently from what I saw with my own body and what I've learned about the mind-body connection going through this whole process. And what I kind of thought going into this process, and I can totally see how people continue to think it, is that psychedelics being such a mind-bending solution for mental health, we kind of don't understand the mind-body connection. At least I didn't until I started this whole process. And the reality is that I've learned that trauma lives in our bodies. Trauma is in the cells. And you can go ahead and read far way smarter people than, don't take my word for it. It's out there. Like our body holds on to the trauma, the memory. It's one of the reasons why our bodies react so well if we are in a stressful situation, because our bodies are able to remember past traumas and get us to respond quickly. It's an evolutionary trait that unfortunately doesn't necessarily work that great in like corporate America, right? So let's talk a little bit about things that can help somatically, things that I discovered along the way. And it's my hope that things that I learned can absolutely help you. But first of all, let me just give you a little list over here of a whole bunch of different somatic practices, because I'm only going to be talking about a few of them that align to me. There's a whole bunch out there. You can go check them out. So just because I'm only talking about a few that I align with doesn't mean that these are the only things out there. So go ahead, take a look at all these different somatic choices, see what aligns with you, because, even in your just everyday meditation, yoga, working through your own childhood stuff, you might find that one of these somatic or body practices might really help you. All right, so I'm going to break this up in terms of before a therapeutic journey, during, and after. So before, what I found to be helpful and what my therapist and I did and what I actually write about in my workbook is a body scan. When my therapist first did this with me, I didn't really know what was going on, but because I had done it in yoga and not really paid much attention, I just kind of used it to relax. But when my therapist and I did it, we did a body scan and we stopped whenever there was something that was a little uncomfortable. We stopped and then we took a moment and we talked to it. And that was the weird part. That was the part that I had never done before. I was like, talk to it. And my therapist was like, yeah, let's see what your body is telling you. And that's how disconnected from my body I was. My body was just functional. So taking a moment to literally say to my screaming neck, hey, what are you trying to tell me? And eventually starting to have this kind of conversation with my neck would actually bring me childhood memories where the beginning of that neck pain originated. What I came to understand was that neck pain showed up when I was feeling trapped. And I learned that because I was being fed memories of being beaten as a child and feeling very, very trapped. So those body scans of kind of starting at the top, or you can start at the bottom. There are a whole bunch of body scan meditations up on YouTube. You can find them or any of your streaming services. But when you get to a point in your body that is kind of sounding an alarm, it feels uncomfortable, there's something going on there, stop and start a conversation. What's going on? Why do you feel that way? Tell me more. And don't necessarily expect that it's literally going to talk back at you like in a language, but just kind of listen and see what comes up. It'd be interesting to see if your mind works like mine. Mine worked in imagery and memories. But that's what I used before the therapeutic journey, because for me, it unlocked a lot of childhood memories and abuse that I had kind of like put them in a do not open folder in my brain, and I was able to access them through my body. Now, during a therapeutic journey, I find it very, very helpful to be very grounding, to start doing some deep breathing. Now, here's the thing. I hate being told how to breathe. So there's all these different breathing modalities, the box method, all these different breathing modalities. I can't stand them. I don't know why. I just rebel about being told how to breathe. That's fine. That's me. You might love being told how to breathe. With all of that said, in a therapeutic journey, when tough memories are showing up, for me, deep breathing kind of makes me grounded and reminds me that I am an adult, kind of reliving that memory. I'm not in that memory anymore. I'm safe from that memory. It's just a memory. The deep breathing kind of reminds me where I am, who I am as an adult. I find it very, very helpful. And I had a really, really tough journey a few months ago, going back to a very, very tough childhood memory when I was fine. And I think I was deep breathing through my nose, exhaling through my mouth, because I had a very dry mouth towards the end of that journey. I was doing that breathing a lot to kind of center myself and say, okay, we're going to get through this. We need to process those emotions. So deep breathing during a journey for me is absolutely invaluable. I'm just not following anybody's instructions. And then movement. I will tell you that during one of my MDMA journeys, about an hour in, I started moving my hip. So anybody who's had hip trouble knows that there's kind of like a windshield wiper exercise that you can do with your leg to kind of lubricate your hip. I'm very familiar with it. It is what it is. I was kind of rubbing my hip, rotating my hip, opening my leg, closing my leg, probably for a half hour to 45 minutes of one of my journeys. And I told my doctors, I'm like, there's something going on here. There's something going on with my hip. I need to work this out. And my doctors were the coolest. They're like, go with it. That's what your body needs to do. You need to release something. And that's what it was. Whatever I was talking about at the time, I didn't kind of align. I don't remember what the content of what I was saying aligning with what my hip was going through, but the movement was necessary. I needed to release what was ever going on. And I can tell you that before my therapy, I used to dread going to yoga because whenever I got into pigeon pose, I would start crying. It was a very hip-centric movement. So I have found during my own therapeutic journeys that sometimes the body has to move. And when I have worked with other people, sometimes the body has to move. And that's why it's so important to have a sitter, to have a guide, to have somebody who is sober with you during these therapeutic journeys, because you might find that the body holds trauma and you might need to move and you might need help doing so. So those are the two things with me, a bit of movement, a bit of deep breathing. I have seen people actually dance. I've seen people get up and walk outside. But for me, deep breathing and just actually moving the kinks out of the body have been the two for me in terms of the somatic working during a therapeutic journey. And then after. So I got to tell you, I am a D- meditator. I am all about activity. I have a picture of my dog, Sadie, who passed away over a year ago, but she was my integration partner because for me, movement and walking That's how I wound up doing a lot of processing. And so I was kind of down on myself that I can't kind of like sit still and meditate, or at the time I couldn't, and I needed that activity. And I was really kind of down on myself for it. And the reality is that my body needed that movement to be able to process. And there is nothing wrong with that. So for me, there was a lot of walking, a lot of gentle movement to just kind of move the blood around and just get my body feeling comfortable. I don't really know why I needed to walk, but I really needed to walk. And even now, walking for me is an incredible head clearer and really helps. Secondly, I went right back to the basics. I do a lot of body scanning. If there is something in my body that is hurting, especially when it shouldn't be, the neck pain is always a nice kind of awareness for me. If I've got the butterflies in the stomach, my hips, if my hips are super tight, what's going on there? Is it just been a long day at the computer, or is there something going on? Doing a quick body scan is fantastic for me. I find going back to the roots of just kind of talking to my body, what are you trying to tell me, has also always been helpful. But I will tell you, as much as I did these little things, from what I hear, if I had gone to a somatic therapist and been with somebody who kind of knew where trauma lives in the body and how to respond, I think my integrations would have been a little faster. And it's really just the one regret. Remember, I took a full year with anywhere from 3 to 5 months in between my journeys. And I think I would have moved a little bit faster. I mean, you never know. Hindsight's 2020. If I would have been utilizing the skills of a somatic therapist. Regardless, don't forget the mind-body connection and whatever. I'm going to pop this little list up here of somatic practices. Feel free, incorporate any of these things into your healing journey. And if you're like me, you'll find that you'll progress a little bit faster. So there you go. If you'd like to understand more about my journey, my memoir, Rescuing Jill, is up on Amazon along with my intention setting workbook. As always, head on over to thejourneysage.com for more information. And until next time, take care.